In the peaceful moments amidst the bustling life, when our soul seeks serenity, we can feel the Buddha's teachings gently penetrate our hearts, like a breeze that soothes a weary soul. Do not waste a human life in ignorance. Awaken today. This is the profound reminder the Buddha gives us, so that each of us can find light in the darkness, rediscover ourselves amidst the many rushing things around us, pulling us along step by step. This teaching is not a warning, but a gentle reminder, like a warm hand reaching out to guide us out of the cycle of suffering and ignorance. Each day passes, life pushes us forward, and sometimes we get lost in work, relationships, or personal goals, forgetting that in this short life, true happiness only comes when we learn to live fully in the present, to awaken from within. We may run our whole lives, but if we do not awaken, if we do not see the true nature of life, then all efforts, passions, and desires will just be fragments drifting through the strong winds of ignorance. The Buddha points out that happiness is not something distant, but rather clear awareness of ourselves, of the life around us, and especially of the simple things we can feel each day. So, do not let time slip away in vain. Take a moment to pause, listen to your heart, and awaken today. Every step of awakening brings us closer to true peace. In the endless flow of life, we often forget to pause and reflect on the preciousness of the human body. Indeed, the human body is an incredibly rare blessing, a precious gift the universe bestows upon us, giving us the opportunity to practice, transform, and attain enlightenment. However, throughout our journey, we easily overlook this, caught up in daily worries, forgetting that this body is the best tool for us to find true peace and happiness. The preciousness of the human body comes not only from the fact that it is a physical entity capable of sensing, thinking, and acting, but also from the deep meaning it carries in our spiritual journey. The Buddha taught that the human body is the ideal condition for us to practice, because only in a human body can we learn, experience, and recognize the path to liberation. Other creatures, though they may live long and be strong, cannot self-reflect or change. Only the human body, with its remarkable abilities, can awaken and free itself from suffering. Looking back at life, we have often witnessed the fragility and impermanence of the human body. A healthy body yesterday can suddenly change in an instant. An illness, an accident, or an unexpected event can make our body no longer the same. The human body, though precious, is not eternal, and because of this, we need to cherish every moment we have. In each breath, in each step, the human body is where we exist, where we can reflect on life and the teachings of the Buddha. This body is where our soul resides, and it is through our actions, our thoughts, that we can transform and improve ourselves. Each day, if we know how to use this body for good deeds, for practice, and for actions that bring benefits to ourselves and the world around us, we will move closer to liberation, to true peace. One of the Buddha's teachings that I find most profound is, this life, in a moment, can vanish. Live in a way that is worthy of the preciousness of the human body. This is not a warning about the fragility of life, but an invitation to live fully, not to waste this human body in ignorance, in negative emotions, or in unnecessary struggles. Live with compassion, with understanding, and with wisdom, because only then will our human body truly be valued, truly worthy of the precious opportunity we have. Think of those who are not fortunate enough to have a human body like ours. They may be beings who cannot decide their own fate, who cannot practice or attain liberation. But we, with this human body, have the ability to think, to choose, and to change. Therefore, if we do not take this opportunity to practice and live peacefully, it would be a great regret. To cherish this human body, we need to live each day with the deep awareness that this body is not eternal, and in every moment, we can transform it into a tool for practice, for striving towards enlightenment. Do not let anger, selfishness, or greed take over your mind, wasting the preciousness of the human body. Live with an open heart, with compassion and understanding, so that each step we take brings us closer to liberation, to true joy. Finally, I would like to invite you to reflect on the Buddha's teachings about the human body. Do not let life pass by in despair. Cherish every moment, every opportunity to practice and live fully with yourself. The human body is a precious gift that we can use to transform, to find peace in our hearts, and to achieve enlightenment in this life. Live in such a way that every day is an awakening, a step closer to the peace and happiness that the Buddha has taught. In this busy and hurried life, we often feel tired, lost, and directionless. Worries and sorrows sweep away our soul, making us forget ourselves. But awakening, as the Buddha taught, is not something distant. It is not a long journey that can only be achieved by saints. The journey of awakening truly begins in the simple moments, in the small things in daily life that we often overlook. It is the full awareness of ourselves, of what is happening around us, and most importantly, the return to our own hearts. Awakening is not a destination, but a process, a lifelong journey. Every step on the path of awakening is an opportunity for us to understand ourselves better, to live more fully in the present. And importantly, as the Buddha pointed out, this journey does not start with grand things, but with very small moments in life. It could be a deep breath, a slow step, or simply listening to the sounds around us that we had not noticed before. One of the easiest ways to begin the journey of awakening is through breathing. Breathing is something very normal in life, but if we take a moment to pay attention to our breath, we will realize that it can become a powerful tool to calm the mind, to bring us back to the present. Try stopping for a moment in the rush of life. Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Feel the air fill your chest. Feel the relaxation in every breath, and feel the life present in every moment. Besides breathing, slowing down is also an important part of the awakening journey. We are often too busy, too rushed to complete tasks, to achieve goals, forgetting that life is not just about things to do. Life consists of precious moments that we can enjoy, moments of ease when we know to stop and simply live. Try slowing down a bit, reduce the speed of life, and take time to enjoy the small things around you. When we slow down, we can feel more clearly the freshness of every morning, the warmth of every meal, and the tenderness of every gaze. Awakening also cannot be without listening to our hearts. In moments of stillness, when everything around seems to quiet down, we can hear the voice of our heart, the true voice of our emotions and thoughts. In the busy life, it is easy to get swept away by negative emotions, worries, and fears. But if we listen carefully, we will realize that beneath all those outer layers is a peaceful soul, a soul ready to love and forgive. To do this, sometimes all it takes is a short time in the day for ourselves, to be still and feel what is happening within us. These small moments are the beginning of the journey of awakening. When we start breathing deeply, slowing down, and listening to our hearts, we will find that life becomes easier, the soul lighter, and our connection with ourselves stronger. These seemingly simple things are the key to opening the door to a life of peace and tranquility. However, the journey of awakening is not always easy. There will be times when we feel lost, when we feel we lack the patience to continue. But do not worry too much, because this is part of the process. The Buddha taught that awakening is not a destination, but a continuous journey. Therefore, in every moment, whether big or small, as long as we have patience and determination, we will find peace within ourselves. In the end, the journey of awakening is not a race, but a process of living fully with oneself, with the present. Remember that every moment is an opportunity to awaken, to return to our hearts, and to find peace in life. Take a deep breath, slow down, and listen to your heart. These are 3 small but very important steps on the path of awakening. The journey of awakening begins from the small moments in daily life. And when we begin to pay attention to these simple things, we realize that each moment of life is a priceless gift that life has given us. However, to live fully in the present, we need to learn to love, forgive, and not wait for a perfect moment to begin living awakened. Truly, every moment carries within it a full life, an opportunity for us to open our hearts and live truly with ourselves. We often have the habit of waiting for an ideal time, waiting for everything to be perfect to start pursuing a dream or making a change in life. We think that only when everything is perfectly prepared, only when everything is stable, can we confidently step into the journey of living fully. However, the truth is that life is never perfect in the way we desire. Difficulties, challenges, and uncertainties will always arise. And it is in those moments, if we know how to live fully, we will realize that nothing is more valuable than living true to ourselves, living fully in each breath, each step. Awakening is not something distant. It is the ability to live fully in the present, to love ourselves and those around us, to forgive ourselves and others. The Buddha taught that awakening does not come from high theories or complicated rituals, but from practice in every ordinary moment of life. If we live each day with compassion, with deep awareness of everything around us, then that is awakening. And this awakening will gradually help us find true peace and happiness in life. One of the important factors to live fully is love. Love is not just an emotion, but an action. Love is understanding, sharing, caring, and nurturing. And first of all, to love others, we must learn to love ourselves. Only when we know how to cherish ourselves, to forgive our mistakes, can we love others sincerely and deeply. Loving ourselves is accepting who we are, with all our flaws, failures, and pains. When we love ourselves, we also know how to love the world around us, how to view and evaluate everything with an open heart, full of kindness. Forgiveness is an essential element in the journey of living fully. Forgiveness is not about forgetting the pain or overlooking the wounds, but a liberation for ourselves. When we hold on to resentment and hatred, we are the ones who suffer. That pain will obstruct our freedom and peace of mind. Forgiveness is how we loosen up, how we free ourselves from the burdens of the past. Forgiveness is not only for others, but also for ourselves. In life, we all make mistakes, but the important thing is to learn from them and continue walking on our path. Living fully in the present means not letting the past or the future dominate our minds. Every moment is precious and has its own meaning. When we know how to live fully, we will realize that we do not need to wait for the perfect time to live happily. Happiness is not a destination, but a process. It is enjoying each moment, the vitality in every breath, the gratitude for what we have. In every present moment, we can find joy, we can find peace. Therefore, do not let life pass by in a haze. Do not wait for an ideal time to begin living mindfully. Live now with all that you have in every moment of life. Awakening is not a long journey full of hardships, but a continuous practice in every moment. From these small moments, we can build a fulfilling life, a meaningful life. Living fully is not a goal to achieve, but a way of living, an attitude toward life. It is love, forgiveness, and gratitude for all that life brings. It is living fully in the present, not waiting for the perfect moment, but knowing how to enjoy what we have right now. When we live fully in every moment, we will realize that happiness is not something distant. It is the presence in this life, the awakening in simple things, the peace in small actions. It is a complete life, a life that we can find right within ourselves in the very first breaths of a new day. Start from these small moments, and one day you will realize that this life is not lacking in anything but love and peace. Life is not always easy. Sometimes we feel tired and stuck in our thoughts and emotions. Worries, anger, and frustrations overwhelm our souls, making it hard to find peace. Meanwhile, true peace does not come from what we own or the goals we achieve, but from the ability to let go, from freeing ourselves from attachments, expectations, and especially from ignorance in the soul. The Buddha taught that to live in peace, we need to let go of the things that hold our hearts, especially negative emotions like anger, resentment, and troubled thoughts. Letting go is not forgetting or running away from the issues in life, but a liberation for the soul. Letting go is when we no longer cling to the past, no longer fear the things that have not yet come. When we let go, we allow ourselves to be free, to live in each moment of the present. Anger and ignorance are factors that hinder peace in the soul. Anger is when we allow resentment and hatred to dominate, when we cannot forgive ourselves and others. Ignorance is when we do not clearly understand the nature of life, about what is happening around us. We continue to live in confused thoughts, not understanding what path leads to happiness. To live in peace, we need to realize that these negative emotions are just clouds obscuring the clear sky of the soul. When we let go of them, the sky of the soul becomes open and peaceful. Letting go is a process, an action that requires patience and determination. When we learn to let go, we learn to love ourselves and others more sincerely. Letting go does not mean abandoning responsibility or giving up, but recognizing that nothing is permanent. Life changes every day, and only those who know how to let go can live fully and live in peace. When we no longer cling to the past, no longer expect an uncertain future, we will realize that it is in the present, in the small moments, where we find peace. Awakening is a long journey, but it is not something distant. Awakening is not about achieving a goal in the future, but about practicing in each present moment. Every step in life, every action, every thought is an opportunity for us to live mindfully, to let go of anger and ignorance, and to view life with a compassionate heart, without expectation, without attachment. It is in these moments that we can find true peace. When we let go of ignorance, we no longer live in illusions, in delusions about life. We will see everything with a clear mind, no longer with judgmental thoughts, no longer with unrealistic desires. We will see that life is simple and beautiful. What we thought was important, what we thought was necessary, may not be what brings lasting happiness. True happiness is not about what we accumulate or achieve, but about peace in the soul, the ability to live fully in the present without worrying about the past or the future. To live in peace, we must learn to love without expectation, learn to forgive without waiting for a response. This love is not something we ask for or demand from others, but sincere love that comes from our soul. When we love, we do not cling to a response, do not expect the things we desire. Love is simply sharing, acceptance, caring without calculation. When we love without expectation, we will find joy in those small actions. Letting go of ignorance and living in peace does not mean we give up life, give up dreams or goals. On the contrary, when we let go of anger and ignorance, we become wiser, more aware of the path we are on. We will know how to choose the right things, do meaningful work, and live a fuller life. When we no longer cling to the things we cannot control, we will have more strength to face life calmly and peacefully. Finally, to live in peace and awakening, we need to learn how to let go, learn to live fully in each moment. Do not wait for the perfect time to begin living mindfully, because that time is now. Start with the simple things, with each breath, each step, each small action. When we let go of anger and ignorance, we will see that this life lacks nothing but love, forgiveness, and peace in the soul. And only then, we will truly live in peace, live mindfully, and find happiness in every moment. Life, though full of challenges and hardships, also contains valuable lessons for each of us. On this journey, awakening is a gift we can give ourselves, not to escape difficulties or challenges, but to live with a clear heart, to be aware and live fully in each moment. The blessing of awakening does not come from avoiding life, but from the ability to truly live with what is happening, right here and right now. Imagine a beautiful morning when the first light of the day filters through the window and you wake up after a restful night. You feel the freshness of the air, your breath is light, and your mind is cleansed after a deep sleep. You are not in a hurry, not worrying about what is to come, but simply living in this moment. You feel each step, each breath, and realize that you are alive, truly living, with all that life brings. It is in such moments that awakening begins. It is not something abstract or difficult to attain, but living fully in the present. Awakening is not running away from life, not retreating from challenges or responsibilities, but living with a clear heart, with awareness of what is happening around us. When we live mindfully, we do not let worries or anxieties control us. Instead, we know how to befriend our emotions, accept them, and let them pass, like light clouds drifting through the sky. Sometimes, we forget that life is not always something we can control. Unwanted events can come unexpectedly, but if we know how to live mindfully, we will not be swept away by feelings of anxiety or despair. For example, a friend of mine once shared about a day when she was on her way to work and suddenly her car broke down in the middle of a busy street. Instead of getting angry or overly worried, she decided to stop, take a deep breath, and told herself, "This is just a challenge and it will pass." In that moment, she felt peace spread in her heart. Although the problem wasn't immediately solved, mindfulness helped her look at the issue more gently, and the peace in her soul helped her find a wiser way to solve the problem. It is this mindfulness that brings blessings in life. Not blessings from material gifts, not blessings from outward successes, but blessings from living in the present with compassion, with an open heart, and ready to accept everything. Mindfulness helps us understand that every moment is precious, and we do not need to search for happiness elsewhere because it is always present in our daily lives. Another story that I will always remember is about a woman who had been through many challenges in life. She lost her husband and raised 3 young children alone, but she did not let the loss or difficulties defeat her. Every morning, despite being tired, she still woke up, took care of her children, and worked tirelessly. But what was special about her was that she always had a calm attitude, never letting sadness or worries overwhelm her. She always tried to find joy in the simplest things, like the smile of her children, happy moments with her family, or just a peaceful morning with a cup of hot tea. Mindfulness helped her live fully, love, and enjoy the small things in life. And that was the blessing she received. A peaceful life despite the difficulties ahead. The blessing of mindfulness is not something we can measure with success or wealth, but it is a presence in life, a harmony with oneself and the world around us. When we live mindfully, we no longer expect anything distant. We only need to live fully in each moment, love and forgive ourselves and others. And it is in this peace that we will find true happiness. Life may be full of hardships, but when we live with a clear mind, with mindfulness, we will realize that every moment has its own value, and we can find blessings in every breath, in every step. Mindfulness is not about withdrawing from life, but about how we face life with clarity and peace. That is the blessing of mindfulness, not the external things, but the peace and happiness that we create within our own souls. In this life, we often seek liberation, peace, but sometimes we do not realize that the small, simple actions in our daily lives can be the key to unlocking peace in our hearts. The transformation from small thoughts, from each act of compassion, and each word of forgiveness is the path to liberation, helping us find peace not only for ourselves, but for the world around us. We do not need to do great or extraordinary things to change our lives, because sometimes from the smallest things, from simple thoughts and gentle actions, our lives can change. Think of a day when you feel tired, worried, and face difficulties in work or life. You could choose to get angry, blame, or complain about your situation. But another simpler choice is to stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to forgive the imperfections. When you let go of negative thoughts, when you face difficulties without letting them control your mind, you will realize that true strength lies in the ability to transform your thoughts. One story that I always find very moving is about an elderly woman living in a small village. She was a kind person, always helping those around her. But one day, she was scolded loudly by a neighbor for an unclear reason. The person deeply hurt her, but instead of reacting with anger, she gently looked at the person and said, "I understand. Maybe you are going through a tough time, and I hope you find peace in your heart." Then she turned away and continued with her work, not letting anger or hurt control her. Those around her were amazed and impressed by her compassionate actions and forgiveness. This story, though simple, reflects a profound lesson about the power of compassion and forgiveness. A small act, a gentle word, not only helped her free herself from the pain, but also helped the other person find peace in their heart. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, can create profound effects in life. Compassion is not about unconditional sacrifice or pleasing others at the expense of oneself, but it is a deep understanding of the suffering of others and a willingness to help without expecting anything in return. Compassion is when we do not let negative emotions dominate our actions. Sometimes, compassion can be a gentle word of encouragement, a kind gesture, or simply a sympathetic glance towards someone facing difficulty. Each such act, no matter how small, brings transformation within ourselves and others. Another example of transformation from small thoughts is the story of a man who had a life full of sorrow. He had gone through suffering, loss, and humiliation in his life. But instead of wallowing in pain, he decided to forgive those who had hurt him. Every day, he told himself, "I will not let the past control me. I will choose love and forgiveness." And from that point on, his life changed completely. He found joy in the simplest things, and his heart gradually became more open, no longer burdened by resentment and hurt. This transformation, from every small thought, helps us realize that happiness is not something distant, but the result of the choices we make every day. Every act of forgiveness, every act of compassion is a small step in the journey of transforming the soul, bringing us closer to liberation from the attachments of greed, anger, and ignorance. And when we know how to forgive, not only others but also ourselves, we will find deep peace in our hearts. The Buddha taught, live with compassion and wisdom. Let go of anger. Do not let your mind be influenced by worries. These words are not just teachings, but principles of life that each of us can practice in our daily lives. When we know how to live with compassion without clinging to negative emotions, we will feel liberation in every moment. Nothing in this life is meaningless. Every act of compassion, every word of forgiveness can create positive changes, not only for ourselves, but also for those around us. Transformation from small thoughts is not just a theory, but a daily practice. It is part of the journey of awakening, helping us become more aware of the true nature of life, of the simple yet incredibly important things in life. Every act of compassion, every word of forgiveness, no matter how small, is a step closer to liberation, helping us live in peace, freedom, and happiness. When we practice this, not only ourselves, but the world around us will become more beautiful. Suffering is an inseparable part of life, and sometimes we feel as though we are surrounded by challenges, injustices, and losses. But is suffering solely caused by the circumstances we face, or is there a deeper cause, rooted in the way we perceive and confront those difficulties? On a beautiful morning, you step outside, breathe in the fresh air, and feel the warm sunlight embrace your body. Each breeze gently passes by, making you feel peaceful. But life is not always this easy. Sometimes, in the hustle and bustle of life, you face challenges. Things do not go as expected, and sometimes you feel like you cannot go on. Suffering often does not come from the events we face, but from how we react to those events. When facing difficulty, some people feel like the world is collapsing, while others find it an opportunity to grow. The same event, but each person has a different way of perceiving and confronting it. The Buddha taught, suffering does not come from circumstances, but from our minds. This is a profound truth that, when understood, can change the way we live. When facing difficulties, if we see them as challenges, they will become valuable lessons. But if we see them as unbearable pain, they will only make us feel stuck. Think of a heavy rain. When you see the rain, you may find it troublesome, making everything wet and hindering your work. But if you change your perspective, you will see that the rain also brings life, bringing freshness to everything around. Likewise, challenges in life can be opportunities for you to learn, grow, and understand yourself better. Suffering is an inseparable part of life, but how we confront it determines our future. When you can accept and face suffering calmly, you will find that it no longer makes you fearful. The important thing is that we must learn to love and take care of ourselves in difficult times, rather than sinking into the pain. Every act of compassion, every word of forgiveness, every decision to view life positively can help us change the way we react to circumstances. When we do not let suffering dominate our minds, when we choose love, forgiveness, and acceptance of difficulties, life becomes much lighter. Life is not always sunny days, but as long as we change our perspective, every challenge becomes an opportunity for us to grow. Suffering is no longer an enemy, but a teacher that helps us awaken and recognize the deeper values of life. How we face suffering will make a huge difference in our journey toward peace and happiness. Thus, instead of blaming circumstances, look back at yourself. It is our attitude, our perception, and how we face the world that is the key to overcoming suffering. Remember, suffering is not something that lasts forever. If you can change the way you react to it, you will see that everything can change, and you will live in the peace and tranquility you desire. Time is a priceless gift that we often overlook in this hectic life. It quietly passes by, second by second, minute by minute, never to return. We often live in regret over the past or worry about the future, but sometimes we forget that only the present is truly important. The presence in the present moment is the wonderful gift we can give to ourselves and those around us. Imagine a peaceful morning. When you wake up, take a deep breath and feel the fresh air. You might hear the birds singing, the wind blowing through the trees, and feel the fresh life surrounding you. It is a wonderful moment, but are you truly living fully in that moment? Or is your mind filled with thoughts about the past or worries about the future? The reality is, when we do not live fully in each moment, we inadvertently miss out on the valuable things that life offers. The value of time is not in how many years we have on this earth, but in how we make use of each moment of life. Time cannot turn back. Every second, every minute that passes will never return to us. Therefore, instead of waiting for a better day, a brighter future, why not start living fully right now, in this very moment? Only when you truly live fully in the present moment can you feel all that life offers. Our difficulties often do not arise from circumstances or what happens around us, but from how we confront time. If we keep worrying about what is past, doubting the future, we will never feel peace in life. We cannot change the past, and the future is still unknown. So, why not live fully with what we have? Love yourself. Enjoy every moment that life offers, because when we cherish time, we will feel the true value of life. It is easy to become busy with work, responsibilities, and things to do, and forget that time is something we cannot grasp again. But if we stop for a moment, reflect on the simple moments in life, we will see that those are the most valuable moments. A morning walk in the park, an evening sitting with family, the laughter of friends, all these things create beautiful and valuable memories. Only when we truly live in the present can we feel and appreciate those moments. The Buddha taught, time is like a river. Only the flow is real, while everything around is illusion. The river of time flows continuously, without stopping. We cannot stop or go back to change what has passed, but we can change the way we live in the present. Live with an open heart, welcome all the good things, and do not let worries about the future or regrets about the past control you. Time will not return, but if we live fully, every moment of life will become priceless. Every second, every minute that passes is a precious gift. When we realize this, we will learn to live more meaningfully, no longer worrying about what has not happened or regretting what has passed. Every moment is worth cherishing, and only when we know how to enjoy it can we live fully and happily. So, take a moment and ask yourself, have I lived fully in this moment? If not, do not let time pass by wasted. Live, love, and enjoy right now, because that is the most precious gift we can give to ourselves and those around us. Live every day as if it is the last gift, so that when you look back, you will have no regrets about the moments that have passed. We often live in a rush, racing against time, and forgetting that life truly exists only in the present moment. Every second, even the smallest one, can be a valuable lesson if we know how to be mindful, to stop and feel. Sometimes, passing breeze, a gentle morning light, or just a raindrop rolling down a leaf all convey profound messages about life. Every morning when you step outside, breathe in the fresh air and feel the warm sunlight embrace your body. The sounds of nature, birds singing, the wind rustling through the leaves, like a gentle melody, soothe all the tension in your soul. You feel every step, every breath, and your worries seem to vanish into the air. This is true connection, when your soul returns to nature, to the most natural and pure things. But in the busy life, many times we forget that these moments are precious gems we are overlooking. We focus only on distant goals, on things that have not yet come, on an uncertain future. However, real life only exists in this moment. If we do not know how to stop and appreciate, we will miss many wonderful things that life offers. There is a story about an old teacher living in a small village who every day spent time caring for his garden. His students often asked, "You know how many important things need to be done in life. Why do you spend the whole day just taking care of these plants?" The teacher smiled and replied, "Each tree is a lesson in patience. Each moment spent with them is an opportunity for me to slow down and reflect on myself. If I cannot find peace in these small things, how can I find it in the greater life?" Indeed, living in the present moment is the most important thing. Every moment, no matter how small, can become a lesson in mindfulness, helping us realize that happiness is not something distant, but is everything that happens around us. It could be the feeling when you enjoy a hot cup of tea in the morning, or when you listen to a song you love while working. These small things bring us peace and deep satisfaction. And when we realize the value of the present, we will begin to live fuller and more complete lives. We do not always have to race against time. We do not always have to worry about things that have not come. Instead, each moment can be an opportunity for us to truly live, to feel our presence in this world. In this way, we will no longer fear the future. We will no longer regret the past, but will only cherish each moment we have in the present. Life is a series of precious moments that we need to learn to live fully. And to do that, we need to learn mindfulness, learn to see and feel the small things around us. Every moment can be a lesson about life, love, and inner peace. Live truly with yourself, and never forget that this life exists only in the present moment. In this busy and hectic life, we often get caught up in worries, work, and relationships, sometimes forgetting the most important thing, mindfulness. If you've ever felt the peace when you stopped and looked within yourself, you will understand that mindfulness is the key to living fully and meaningfully. Imagine a morning when you wake up and start a new day. Instead of rushing into work, you stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and feel each breath. The birds singing outside the window, the gentle winds blowing through, all those sounds are present in this moment. You are not swept away by thoughts about the past or the future. You simply live fully in the present moment. This is mindfulness, when we know how to stop and feel life, to see that everything around us has value and is worth cherishing. Mindfulness helps us realize that, in every moment, we can find peace and tranquility. When we live in mindfulness, we are no longer swept away by worries, by the busyness that we often create. We understand that the important things in life are not what we possess or external success, but how we live and perceive the world around us. When we are mindful, we will see that even the simplest things in life contain profound value. Mindfulness not only helps us understand ourselves, but also helps us understand those around us. When we can listen and feel, we will see the emotions and thoughts hidden deep within each person. We will not rush to judge or evaluate. Instead, we will view others with compassion and understanding. Thanks to mindfulness, we can live in harmony with ourselves and others, creating a peaceful and loving life. One of the important things that mindfulness brings is the ability to recognize ignorance within ourselves. Ignorance is delusion, not being aware of ourselves and the world around us. When we live in ignorance, we are easily swept away by negative thoughts, unsettling emotions, and uncontrollable events. But when we are mindful, we can view life more clearly, and from that clarity, make wiser and calmer decisions. Mindfulness helps us realize that everything in life changes, and we do not need to fear or cling to anything. A person living in mindfulness will know how to appreciate every moment, every breath. They do not live in worry about the future or regret about the past. Instead, they live with a peaceful, open, and loving heart. Mindfulness is a gift that each of us can give ourselves, helping us live fully and more happily. The Buddha taught, mindfulness is the light that guides us in the darkness. When we live in mindfulness, we will no longer get lost in the delusions of life. We will realize that, even when life is difficult or challenging, mindfulness helps us maintain our determination and calmness. We do not need to race against time or external things. We only need to live in mindfulness so that every moment becomes meaningful and valuable. So instead of chasing after things beyond our control, take a moment to stop and live with mindfulness. Look within, feel each breath, each step, and embrace life with gratitude. When you live in mindfulness, you will see that everything around you becomes much more beautiful and meaningful. Mindfulness is the wonderful gift each of us can give ourselves. It helps us become more aware of life, helping us live fully and love. Live with mindfulness so that every moment becomes precious and meaningful. In the endless flow of life, sometimes we forget something very important: the value of ourselves. We live in haste, rushing through each day without stopping to realize the precious gift each person possesses: the human body. This body is not only the means by which we exist in this world, but also the tool by which we practice, learn, and grow. The Buddha taught that having a human body is extremely precious. To be born in a human form, we have passed through countless lives, endured many sufferings and challenges, and finally, fate has led us to this life. We may not remember our past lives, but surely the karma and actions from those lives have contributed to creating this opportunity. This is something few people realize, and therefore, often we take this priceless gift for granted. Think of the story of a middle-aged woman named Min Tam. She lived a rather simple life, taking care of work and family every day. She always felt caught up in the cycle of life, forgetting that each day lived, each passing minute, is a blessing. One day, while sitting in a meditation session, Min Tam suddenly felt something profound. She realized that the ups and downs she was going through, the difficulties in her work and family life, were all opportunities for her to practice, to learn more about herself and the world around her. She began to understand the value of her human body, of the life she had. She understood that if she did not cherish this gift, life would pass by like still waters, leaving no trace. Like Min Tam, Sometimes we live without realizing the value of ourselves. In times of fatigue and failure, we easily feel small and insignificant. But if we look back, we will see that this body, with all the difficulties and challenges it brings, is the most precious thing. The human body is not just a physical entity, but also a place that contains immense potential. It is the tool by which we practice to take steps on the path to enlightenment and true happiness. The Buddha taught that, among countless beings, the human body is an extremely rare opportunity. Every time we breathe, every time we walk, it is the mark of a rare opportunity we have received. And because of this, recognizing the value of the human body is not easy. We live in a world full of temptations and afflictions, unaware that each moment could become a valuable opportunity to practice and learn. There is a story in Buddhism about a monk. One day, he taught his disciple a profound lesson. He said, "A drop of water flows through the fingers and cannot be held. Just like this world, the human body is hard to regain once lost. Only when we realize the value of our body can we truly live mindfully." These words are an awakening for those who are lost in material life and forget that this human body is a priceless gift, an opportunity to find ourselves. We often feel worried about the future, about successes or failures. But few stop to realize that the most important thing is to live fully with this human body, so that every day that passes, we can look back and see that we have no regrets. Every moment is an opportunity for us to change, to live more deeply, to grow in every aspect. Like Mintung, each of us can recognize the value of ourselves, of the human body we possess. Just stop for a moment, reflect, and feel, and we will see that life is not a series of meaningless challenges, but a journey full of meaning, where every step, every breath can lead us closer to enlightenment, to peace in the soul. Therefore, live mindfully. Cherish every moment of this life. Remember that the human body is not something we take for granted, but a precious opportunity that we must cherish and protect. Only when we realize its value can we live a truly meaningful life. In modern life, we are often caught up in the routine of work, family, and daily worries, forgetting that true peace does not come from avoiding life, but from how we engage with it. Mindfulness in life is not about withdrawing from the world around us, but living fully with it, but with a clear mind, a complete presence in each moment. One day, you step outside. Amidst the warm sunlight and gentle breeze, you feel life overflowing around you. The sounds of nature, birds singing, leaves rustling, all signs of strong and fresh life. However, mindfulness is not just about feeling those moments, but about fully engaging with life, with patience and alertness. We cannot live fully if we simply rush through life, not paying attention to what's happening around us. Mindfulness helps us realize that every moment is precious and worth cherishing. Spiritual practice is not about running away from the world, but learning how to live with it more deeply and peacefully. The Buddha taught, liberation is not about abandoning life, but mastering the mind and emotions in daily life. This means that liberation is not about leaving all things behind, but having the ability to live in this life without being controlled by it, not allowing worries, anger, or insecurity to dominate our soul. When you understand the practice, you will see that it is not a process of isolation, but a way of living actively and mindfully in every situation. While many people think that spiritual practice requires withdrawing from the material world to seek liberation, in reality, it is about living amidst the bustle of life while still maintaining peace in the soul. It is about fully engaging in life, but with mindfulness and emotional control. When we live with mindfulness, we do not let ourselves be swept away by negative emotions, uncontrolled thoughts. Every emotion, whether happy or sad, is just a wave in the sea of life. And when we have the ability to view it with clarity, we will not be swept away by it. The connection between life and spiritual practice is active participation in each present moment, but with a mind free from illusions, anxiety, or negative thoughts. Life is not something we need to escape from, but a wonderful opportunity to practice and grow. When you live in mindfulness, you will realize that every situation, every challenge is a valuable lesson. They do not come to make things hard for you, but to help you awaken, to help you see life with clarity and compassion. Therefore, liberation is not about abandoning life, but mastering the mind and emotions. When you master your mind, you are no longer controlled by temporary emotions or troubling thoughts. You live with a light, peaceful mind, not being pulled by things beyond your control. Spiritual practice is a long journey, not a destination. Every step in this life is an opportunity to practice, to train yourself to live mindfully, to understand yourself and the world around you. In every relationship, every task, every challenge, we can practice mindfulness. Remember, practice is not about withdrawing from life, but participating in it fully, with a calm soul and an open heart. Only when we can master our emotions can we truly be free. When you live with mindfulness, you will realize that life is a precious gift, and every moment within it has value. Live in this life, but with mindfulness. Do not let yourself be swept away by aimless thoughts. Do not let yourself be overwhelmed by unnecessary worries. Live fully, with no regrets about the past, no worries about the future, but simply be present in each moment, because that is the path to practice, the path that helps us find liberation right in this life, right in our soul. The modern life, with its fast pace and constant pressure, makes it easy for us to overlook the precious moments. We live in a world full of noise, where each day passes like a chain of work, responsibilities, and worries. In that flow, we may have forgotten something very important: to stop and reflect. Sometimes all it takes is a moment of stillness, a minute to pause and listen to ourselves, and we will realize that life is not just about what we are doing, but how we live, feel, and face ourselves. Imagine a morning when you wake up and begin a new day. Thoughts about work, about things that need to be done immediately, fill your mind. But instead of diving into those thoughts, you stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and feel each moment around you. You look at the sky, hear the birds singing, feel the stillness in the air. That is the moment you begin your journey of mindfulness. Mindfulness does not come from doing great things, but from those moments of stopping, looking within, listening to the emotions and thoughts that have not been processed. One of the important messages in life is to stop and reflect. In the busy moments, we easily forget to take time to listen to ourselves, to feel what is happening in our minds and hearts. Stopping not only helps us escape from fatigue and stress, but it also provides an opportunity to recognize the things we have overlooked along the way. Unprocessed emotions, lingering thoughts, unresolved worries. All of these need to be listened to and understood. We often face countless issues and challenges, but sometimes the difficulties do not come from the outside, but from the lack of understanding of ourselves. When we don't take the time to stop and reflect, we get caught up in the whirlwind of work, relationships, and endless events. We won't realize that sometimes it's these unprocessed thoughts that create barriers in our hearts. Therefore, stopping to reflect and listen to ourselves is an important step to begin the journey of mindfulness. When you stop and look within, you will realize that what you are feeling is not always the absolute truth. Worries and negative emotions come and go, but they are not what define your life. You can change how you perceive and feel everything, and that is the power of mindfulness. When we can look at things from a different perspective, we will find solutions that we previously could not see. Stopping and reflecting helps us not only understand ourselves better, but also gain a deeper insight into the world around us. Mindfulness is not an easily attainable state, but it is a journey that requires effort and patience. Stopping to reflect is one of the first steps to living mindfully. Try to set aside some time every day to stop, to do nothing, just to reflect on life, on the emotions and thoughts within you. In those moments of stillness, you will find peace in your heart, and from there, you will have enough energy to continue facing life. Stopping is not just about pausing work or actions, but about returning to yourself. In the fast pace of life, we easily forget that we need to listen to ourselves, that we need to be understood. Only when you truly listen to yourself can you understand what you need, what emotions you are carrying, and what you truly desire. Stopping and reflecting helps us reconnect with ourselves, cleanse our soul, and open up a space for mindfulness. Mindfulness comes from recognizing unprocessed thoughts and emotions, and from there, starting the journey to regain peace in the soul. It is not about escaping life, but about living fully in each moment, knowing how to perceive and accept everything that happens to us. Each moment of stopping is an opportunity to renew ourselves, to reconnect with the core values of life. Take time to stop and reflect, to view life more deeply. When you live in mindfulness, you will no longer be swept up in worries about the future or regrets about the past. You will see that every present moment is precious, and only when you live fully in this moment can you find true peace. Mindfulness is a lifelong journey, and each step in that journey is an opportunity for us to learn, grow, and love ourselves more. No one can avoid moments of suffering. It could be failures, losses, or moments of despair that make us feel like we are sinking in the sea of emotions. But instead of trying to escape suffering or push it away from our lives, one of the important things we can learn is to face it, accept it, and find ways to transform it into an opportunity to grow and develop. It is in the most difficult moments that we can find the strength to change ourselves. Suffering is not something we need to fear, nor is it something we need to escape. The Buddha taught that suffering is an inseparable part of life, but if we know how to face it, understand it, and transform it, we will no longer feel paralyzed by it. No matter how great the suffering, it can still become a healer to help us heal the wounds in our soul. When we face suffering calmly and mindfully, we will realize that it is just a temporary challenge, not the end of life. One of the important factors that help us face suffering is understanding. When we understand the cause and nature of suffering, we will no longer feel that it is something insurmountable. Instead of letting suffering control our emotions and minds, we can learn to view it more objectively, and from there, find ways to resolve it. Understanding not only helps us recognize that suffering is a natural part of life, but also helps us see that suffering is not something we cannot change. Imagine a moment when you feel very tired and sad. Perhaps you've gone through a failure or a great loss. You feel like you're standing at the edge of despair. But if you stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and look at the situation from a different perspective, you will see that the suffering is not endless. Although it may come from the outside, how you face it is the deciding factor. When you can control your emotions, not letting them sweep you away, you will see that suffering is just a temporary feeling, and you can control it. Compassion is a key element that helps us overcome suffering. When facing challenges, instead of blaming yourself or others, try changing your attitude. View suffering with a compassionate and understanding heart. When you can face life's difficulties with compassion, you will see that everything can change. Compassion not only helps us understand and empathize with others, but also helps us love ourselves, overcoming anxiety and suffering within. Suffering is not a bad thing. In fact, it can be a great opportunity for us to learn and grow. It is in difficult moments that we realize the value of peace, patience, and resilience. When we face suffering with calmness and understanding, we will no longer feel fear or despair. Instead, we will feel strength and stability within ourselves. Another important thing is accepting suffering instead of resisting it. We often tend to avoid painful things in life, but when we accept suffering as a part of the journey, we will see that it is no longer something to be feared. When you face suffering, don't rush to escape it. View it as a challenge that allows you to learn, grow, and become stronger. This acceptance will help you feel peace and prevent suffering from overwhelming you. The Buddha taught that understanding and compassion are the remedies that help us overcome all suffering in life. When you understand that suffering is not eternal, but just a temporary phase, you will see that it cannot prevent you from walking the path to peace and happiness. Compassion will help you face not only your own suffering, but also that of others. And from that, you will feel peace within. Life is a long journey, and it is not always easy. But if you know how to face suffering with calmness and understanding, you will see that every challenge can become a valuable lesson, helping you grow. Suffering is not something to fear or avoid, but an opportunity to learn, to love yourself and others more. Live with compassion, understanding, and calmness, and you will realize that life, despite suffering, is still a wonderful gift. Sometimes, we feel like we are running after an endless cycle with tasks, responsibilities, and expectations from society, family, and friends. We sometimes forget that, amid all this, the most important question is, what am I living for? This is a simple but profound question that helps us stop and reassess our own life to find the real meaning and purpose. We all have moments in life when we sit alone, think about life, and ask ourselves, where am I going? What am I living for? This question may make you feel confused or hard to answer, but it is also a great opportunity to stop, look back on your journey, and ask if you are on the right path. Sometimes we live for reasons that are not our own, for the desires of others, for society's expectations, or for goals we think are important, without stopping to ask if they truly bring happiness and meaning to our lives. Asking the question, what am I living for, is not to create pressure or a sense of lack, but to help us realize that every day passing can have a purpose, a meaning. When we can answer this question, we can live a fuller life, a life not spent chasing society's expectations, but following our own path, following what truly brings happiness and peace in the soul. It is easy to get caught up in the whirlpool of external needs. We work because we need income, take care of our family because it's a responsibility, achieve success because we want social recognition. But when all these things become the primary purpose in life, we may feel empty inside. In fact, all of these factors are important, but they cannot be the sole reason for our existence. When we live only to meet external needs, we may overlook the small joys, the simple things in life that are the true source of long-lasting happiness. So, how can we find true meaning in life? The answer is not always clear and easy, but one of the most effective ways is to take the time to stop and listen to yourself. When you take the time to think about the things you truly love, the things that bring you happiness and peace, you will find signs of your life's purpose. These things don't necessarily have to be great achievements or distant dreams. Sometimes, the meaning of life is simply those moments when you live authentically, help others, or find joy in simple things. One question that each of us can ask ourselves is, what do I really want to do in this life? The answer may be very simple. You want to help others. You want to live a simple but meaningful life. You want to contribute to the community. Or perhaps you just want to live authentically and find peace in your soul. Asking this question helps us realize that the purpose of life is not a fixed destination, but a continuous journey full of exploration and self-transformation. When you ask about the meaning of life, you will also begin to become more aware of the things that are driving your life. You will realize that if you only chase external demands, you will never feel complete or fulfilled. On the other hand, when you live true to yourself, when you do what truly brings you joy and meaning, you will find strength and peace in your soul. Sometimes, change only needs to start from a simple but challenging question. What am I living for? This is not an easy question to answer, But this search will lead you to deeper understandings about yourself, life, and what truly matters. Everyone has their own journey, and each journey has moments to stop, reflect, and ask oneself about the reason for living. This not only helps you find purpose in life, but it also helps you live a meaningful life, where you don't live for society's expectations or others, but for your own beliefs, values, and passions. So, don't be afraid to stop and ask yourself, what am I living for? The answer may change over time, but every time you ask this question, you will get closer to understanding yourself. And from that, your life will become fuller and more meaningful. Let your life not just be a series of actions, but a journey full of meaning, where each step is a connection between the soul and the world around. Every moment passes like a river, never to return. However, not everyone is aware of this. We often only see what's right in front of us, forgetting that time is silently passing by, second by second, minute by minute, day by day. And then, when we look back, we realize that the moments gone by can never return, filling us with regret and sorrow. The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent, and when we understand this, we will be able to live more fully, no longer wasting time on things that don't matter, but appreciating every second of our life. Impermanence is not something distant. It is an evident truth in each of our lives. Everything, from the people we love to the things we own, from opportunities to emotions, all can change or disappear in an instant. Maybe today you are happy, but one day, everything might change. You may face difficulties, loss, or sometimes you may realize that time has passed too quickly without truly living. Therefore, recognizing this impermanence is very important. If we don't recognize the changes happening around us, we may live in regret about what we have done or haven't done. The things we think are certain, the emotions we think are permanent, can all change suddenly. That's why, if we don't live fully and consciously about the impermanence of life, we may miss valuable opportunities, moments of happiness, and then feel regret when we realize that everything has passed. So how can we find true meaning in life? The answer is not always clear and easy, but one of the most effective ways is to take time to stop and listen to yourself. When you take the time to think about the things you truly love, the things that bring you happiness and peace, you will find signs of your life's purpose. These things don't necessarily have to be great achievements or distant dreams. Sometimes, the meaning of life is simply those moments when you live authentically, help others, or find joy in simple things. One question that each of us can ask ourselves is, what do I really want to do in this life? The answer may be very simple. You want to help others. You want to live a simple but meaningful life. You want to contribute to the community. Or perhaps you just want to live authentically and find peace in your soul. Asking this question helps us realize that the purpose of life is not a fixed destination, but a continuous journey full of exploration and self-transformation. When you ask about the meaning of life, you will also begin to become more aware of the things that are driving your life. You will realize that if you only chase external demands, you will never feel complete or fulfilled. On the other hand, when you live true to yourself, when you do what truly brings you joy and meaning, you will find strength and peace in your soul. Sometimes change only needs to start from a simple but challenging question. What am I living for? This is not an easy question to answer, but this search will lead you to deeper understandings about yourself, life, and what truly matters. Everyone has their own journey, and each journey has moments to stop, reflect, and ask oneself about the reason for living. This not only helps you find purpose in life, but it also helps you live a meaningful life, where you don't live for society's expectations or others, but for your own beliefs, values, and passions. So, don't be afraid to stop and ask yourself, what am I living for? The answer may change over time, but every time you ask this question, you will get closer to understanding yourself. And from that, your life will become fuller and more meaningful. Let your life not just be a series of actions, but a journey full of meaning, where each step is a connection between the soul and the world around. Every moment passes like a river, never to return. However, not everyone is aware of this. We often only see what's right in front of us, forgetting that time is silently passing by, second by second, minute by minute, day by day. And then, when we look back, we realize that the moments gone by can never return, filling us with regret and sorrow. The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent, and when we understand this, we will be able to live more fully, no longer wasting time on things that don't matter, but appreciating every second of our life. Impermanence is not something distant. It is an evident truth in each of our lives. Everything, from the people we love to the things we own, from opportunities to emotions, all can change or disappear in an instant. Maybe today you are happy, but one day, everything might change. You may face difficulties, loss, or sometimes you may realize that time has passed too quickly without truly living. Therefore, recognizing this impermanence is very important. If we don't recognize the changes happening around us, we may live in regret about what we have done or haven't done. The things we think are certain, the emotions we think are permanent, can all change suddenly. That's why, if we don't live fully and consciously about the impermanence of life, we may miss valuable opportunities, moments of happiness, and then feel regret when we realize that everything has passed. Small changes can also come from daily actions. Just changing the way you communicate with others, the way you treat yourself, or even how you take care of your health. These changes may not be obvious in a day or two, but over time, they will gradually create a great transformation. You will feel healthier, happier, and more positively inclined toward life. Every time you proactively change your actions, you are also changing your life. Don't forget that small changes will accumulate and lead to great results. You don't need to do everything perfectly right from the start. Each small step will gradually form habits and positively impact your life. Imagine each day as an opportunity to change something small, and day by day, step by step, you will notice the clear changes in yourself and your life. Transformation doesn't always have to come from major decisions or bold steps. Sometimes, small, gentle, but persistent changes are the key to bringing about significant change in life. When you change from within, when you change small habits in your daily life, you will realize that life is not something you have to race against, but something you can live fully, peacefully, and meaningfully. Remember, one small step today can lead you to a wonderful future. Don't rush to wait for something big to change your life. The small changes you make today will be the foundation for great successes and happiness in the future. When you change your attitude, change your perspective on life, you will experience significant transformation, not only in your life, but also in how you perceive and interact with the world around you. Many times, we easily get caught up in grand goals, in the desire to seek success and happiness, forgetting that it is the small daily actions that truly shape our lives. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is not something distant or just great thoughts in the mind, but it must be expressed in simple actions, compassion, and love that we carry out in each moment of life. Compassion, a core virtue in Buddhist teachings, is not something that can only be understood by theory, but by concrete actions. Compassion is sincere love for all beings, understanding and accepting others' difficulties and suffering without judgment. It could be a warm smile for a stranger, a gentle greeting to an old friend, or even patience when facing stressful situations in life. Imagine a normal working day for a mother named Lan. She has a busy job, often having to handle many tasks at once, but she still takes time to care for her children, cook meals, and teach them. One afternoon, after work is done, Lan still spends a few minutes sitting with her young son, listening to him talk about his day. Despite being tired, Lan gives her full attention and love to her son, listening to every word, encouraging him when he faces difficulties, and giving him a tight hug. Every action of Lan is not just a mother's duty, but a concrete expression of compassion. She not only teaches her child with words, but also through acts of care and love, creating a peaceful space for him to grow in sincere love. Compassion is not just an act of caring for others, but also caring for oneself. It is easy to forget about our own health and mood in the busy life, but compassion requires us to treat ourselves well. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, but an important part of nurturing the soul, so we can love and care for others more fully. This can be as simple as taking a little time for yourself in the morning to center your mind, or having quiet moments to relax after a long day. When we know how to take care of ourselves, we will have the energy and mindset to share love with those around us. A small but meaningful story about compassion is the story of a man named Min. One day, Min was on his way home after a tiring day at work when he saw a beggar sitting by the road. Feeling the suffering in the beggar's eyes, Min decided to stop, take a portion of rice from his bag, and give it to him. The beggar thanked him emotionally, and Min just smiled and continued walking. Min's small yet compassionate act not only helped the beggar have a meal, but also made Min feel happiness in his heart. This sincere compassion helped Min feel the connection between people and realize the value of loving actions, no matter how small. Compassion is also shown through forgiveness. In a world full of conflict and discord, forgiveness is an incredibly powerful and necessary action. Sometimes, we need to learn to let go of resentment and hatred to live a light and peaceful life. Forgiveness is not about forgetting or accepting others' mistakes, but about freeing ourselves so we are no longer imprisoned by negative emotions. A story about forgiveness that I want to share is about a woman named Huang. After many years of living in anger with an old friend over a misunderstanding, Huang finally decided to forgive. She called her friend, listened to the apology, and together they healed the old wounds. This story shows that compassion is not only about loving others, but also about opening the heart to forgive and reconnecting broken relationships. Life is not always easy, but if every day we try to live with compassion, even in small things, we will create a more beautiful world, a world where love, forgiveness, and care spread everywhere. Compassion is not something distant or difficult to understand, but a concrete action, a care, sharing, and love that we express in our daily life. Every moment, every action can be an opportunity for us to live mindfully and practice compassion in every step of life. Whether short or long, life is full of precious moments. But we, in our moments of confusion, have let time pass in ignorance, not realizing the true value of what we have. And then, when we look back, we cannot help but regret the moments that have passed. The Buddha taught that life is impermanent, everything will pass. But in that impermanence, only mindfulness can help us live fully and without regret. Awakening is not a distant concept, but recognizing the presence of oneself in every moment. Awakening is when we know how to stop, listen to ourselves, and see the beauty of each day, even the simplest things. When we awaken, we no longer race against the outside hustle, but instead, we live more deeply, more meaningfully. Every breath, every step becomes full of meaning because we know we are not living for distant things, but living fully with ourselves. In reality, life doesn't have to be complicated. We don't need to achieve things beyond our reach to feel happy. Sometimes, happiness comes only from peaceful moments, from seeing the smile of a loved one, or simply enjoying a quiet morning. These things, though small, are the precious gems, and when we awaken, we will realize that they are what we have always been searching for throughout life. Take time to reflect on life. Don't let worries and anxieties cloud the peace in your heart. Live with gratitude, appreciating the things around you. Live each day as an opportunity to learn and grow, so you never have to regret not living fully. The Buddha taught, do not waste a human life in ignorance. Do not let yourself get lost in negative thoughts. Do not let life pass without realizing the value of the present moments. Be mindful, live with love and wisdom, because only when we awaken, we can truly feel the beauty of this life. So today, you can start by simply taking a moment of silence, listening to your heart. Let mindfulness permeate every cell, so each day of your life becomes a meaningful journey, full of love and peace. And don't forget, life can only be complete when you learn to cherish each moment. I wish you always find peace in every breath, in every moment you live. I wish you to always awaken, to love and appreciate what you have, so that no moment in this life becomes meaningless. Live each day as a gift, and remember, happiness is always by your side, in the simplest things.